My name is Luca. Joined Nexat last year in May, and then been around our other countries where we are working on, and then joined into this role in January this year, and now for roughly 2 weeks here in Canada, and try to spread our machine now for the future here in this, let's say, beautiful country which I saw so far. So where are we based on? I think you can hear it. I'm a German, and we're a German company. So our machines get produced in the northern part of Germany. The city is called Rieste. So it's more or less, I don't know if you have been to Agritechnica in Germany, so 2 hours west of Agritechnica, close to the glass factory or the grimy factory for the potatoes harvesters. Our company got invented by father and son, and since 3 years now, we're part of the EW Group, which you can see. EW Group is a pretty big family company based in Germany, which has now more than 300 companies in their holding. They have more than 20,000 people working for them. They're mostly in the business of chicken producing and food for chickens, chicken genetics. And now they said, okay, we could be also part of their cycle, because now they have the chickens, they have the genetics for it, and now we can produce with our machine their food. So this should be then one complete crop cycle or life cycle. So where are we currently now? We have machines running in Germany. We have machines running in Ukraine. So maybe also to speak about that, the basic idea with this machine was build it in Germany and then spread it to the eastern part, Russia and Ukraine. There's very big fields, similar like here, but then the war came and we said, okay, what can we do? Where can we bring our machines? Where can they be efficient for farmers? So we said, okay, close by to Ukraine is Romania. Romania also has very big fields, but this was still not enough. So do you think in a company, where can we go? Where can we expand? So for sure, everyone asking me about Australia, but Australia has one big problem. It's on the other end of the world. So we said, okay, let's go to Brazil. Brazil also needs big machines. And in the same meantime, we also thought about US. So we started also in US 2022, but then Trump came up with the tariffs, which makes it also not easy for a German company to bring machines in. So we thought, okay, also Canada is big. Canada is a nice country, so that's why we started last year to bring our machines from US up to Canada. And now we are currently located roughly 20 minutes north of Moose Jaw at Jute Farms. Don't know if you ever heard about it. Maybe the one or other has already seen our machines there in the field. And now, even for this year, we say, okay, let's get bigger, let's get go on. So we have currently now 3 machines based in Moose Jaw, and another machine is on his way, or not on his way, starts roughly in 2 weeks, getting on the ship, and then comes to Canada, and then be also at Ag in Motion show to show it first time for the public. So, but let's start from the beginning. So the 2 guys which you can see on the picture now, Clemens and Felix, so father and son, big inventors in Germany, so they have a huge track record. Clemens worked for big ag companies like Grimy before, so he was the main engineering lead there. Both together have 130 patents running and 130 innovations, and also got already 5 golden medals at Agritechnica, so that's like a prize I saw which got here for the last days. So if you have a big invention in Germany, you can get a prize for that. So in 2001, the Tektron, so there was the first 4-rows potato harvester, which was mostly invented by Clemens. Then Isobus, I think every one of you knows Isobus. Isobus Terminal CCI in the very past, that was also Clemens was part of them, which invented that. Then 2013, another big invention for Grimy with an automatic potato harvester. And then the Premos, I think I've never heard about a Primus here in North America, but the Primus is, or they invented it for crony. So it's not a baler, but it makes the small pellets, which you can then put in your oven or which you can use for your horses in the shed. So that's also an invention which these two guys made for crony and then sold the whole machine to crony. And then 2022, they came out with the Nexat. So, but that's not where they started. So if you think back, they started 2014 with thinking about the idea, how can we make farming different than it was before? So before, machines, they started by hand in the early years, then they took cows or horses, then they came up with the tractor, but the basic was always the same. A machine gets pulled by a tractor, just went bigger. So they went around the world and said, how can we make farming more efficient? And came on the problems which mostly, I say mostly, everywhere on the world are the same, and which is compaction. So you always drive with a machine over the field, you compact the soil, and then you have to lose the ground again. So I know already it's a bit different here in Canada. You get very deep frosts, which loosen the soil up. But still, what they found out, so first, the compacted soil and the big egg. So for Europe, a lot of people look about the CTF, controlled traffic farming. I think you heard about it. Our machine is wide span controlled traffic farming, so you have the tires on the outer end, and then the soil between gets never driven on again, so which is very loose, very healthy. The roots can go very deep. You have a lot of water which the roots can go, and even for Canada or for North and South America, the big large egg which I come on now.
Nexat Revolution, the system. Nexat Revolution is the world's first complete holistic crop production system. The basic premise is simple yet disruptive. One for all for one. At the focal point is a powerful wide-span carrier vehicle with interchangeable implements that can perform tillage, sowing, plant protection, and harvesting tasks using modular attachments developed in close collaboration with well-known and reputable manufacturers. The modules can be swapped by one person in under 10 minutes, and there are plans to fully automate this process in the near future. Nexat is electrically driven. The generators are currently powered by two independently driven 550 HP diesel engines. As each module is integrated, its weight is transferred onto the carrier vehicle and optimized so that it essentially becomes a self-propelled machine. This enables the implements to be guided more accurately and with less slip, significantly reducing the vehicle's fuel consumption and CO2 emissions. Nexat is a state-of-the-art modular vehicle that sets new standards in crop production by uniting and optimizing each stage of the production process. The Nexco harvesting module, for example, enables throughput to be increased by over 50% when compared to a traditional large combine. It even has an unrivaled solution for uniform straw distribution, eliminating the need for additional cultivation steps and enabling a true controlled traffic farming (CTF) to be practiced all year round. Depending on the Nexat's configuration, its wide-span controlled traffic method enables fields to be cultivated at a width of 6 to 24 meters. This means that 95% of the entire arable area may never be driven over again, depending on the configuration, ensuring the maximum yield potential is realized and the soil and environment are protected to the greatest degree possible. Nexat, next generation agriculture technology.
So yes, which you saw in the video. So our idea is not just to have one machine. Our idea from the beginning was to think about a complete production system so that you can use your machine the whole year, the carrier machine, and then put different implements on. So depending on the region currently of the world, we have different brands, which I will show you later. But like what I said, the idea is to have one system which is doing your job for the whole year. So currently what we can do, starting with tillage, seeding, fertilizing, spraying, and then harvesting, and then start again after that with cultivating again. So that's the basic machine. We call it our gantry vehicle or carrier vehicle. So from one tire to the other is 14 meter of track width, so which is roughly 45 feet. Why did we came on this idea of 14 meters? So, like I said before, our bosses went around the world and said, okay, which width should we go? So basically, for the future, there is the idea to have this machine between 9 and 24 meters. But for the beginning and for the European market, there are some limitations which you don't have here in Canada. So there is always a regulation of the width and of the length, so which we have just 21 meters length, and with the cabin, we're just below that. So that's why we said, okay, let's start with a 40 meter or 45 feet machine first. What we also have, we have a 2 meter or 6.6 feet of ground clearance. So even if you have some high crops, you can still run pretty easy over them, which you can see on the right corner it is. You also get the possibility to put it on tracks, or which we're also running now since this year in Brazil, is to put it on duals, and which also, it was never the idea before about that, to be honest, because we said, okay, we always go in our tram lines, but every farm is different, every farm has its different idea how to farm, so that's why we said, okay, the farmer wants to have duals on, we also try that, and that really also works out pretty good. You heard we have 2 engines in there, so currently it's 2 Liebherr engines, so that's a German brand which you also find in a lot of construction work machines. Each engine is independently, so if you look from each side, so the side frames, there's the cooling system in it, then you have your fan, you have the 2 engines, and every engine is driving 2 electric generators, 2 hydraulic pumps, and in the middle part then the fuel tank, the hydraulic tank, and AdBlue tank. So what I said, 2 engines, each engine independently. So for example, if you go out there for spreading or for spraying, you don't need 2 engines, you just turn one engine off, doesn't matter which one, and then you can go with just the half power then to save some fuel. For combining for sure, 2 engines, so one engine is doing the main part, is doing the rotary, and the other engine is driving also over a belt drive, the cleaning, and then more or less the driving. So, but what we can do now due to our electric generators, electric motors, if one engine is on the limit and the other one still has capacity, we can just power shift more power to the other engine to help. If you have some heavy crops, for example, and you don't have any problems with the cleaning, just get power from the one engine to the other and help the one engine which is on the limit to give it more capacity. Like I said, electric drive, so our wheels are electrically driven, each wheel by his own, so which makes it a lot of, or very efficient then. If you think already into the future, autonomous driving, so our machine more or less at the moment runs on its own. So the driver sits in there, is taking a look if everything's running well, but the machine on the end of the path is already turning on its own. So if you set up a field in your map, the machine over AI is already doing his tracks where it goes to make it the fastest and the simplest way. Then we have a 360 degrees camera monitoring on it, and which you also saw in the video, a toolless implement change, so which is our benefit because the implements which we have on the machine are just designed for us, so the machines exactly fits our needs. Then the cabin. The cabin looks, I always say it, a little bit weird on there, but you can swivel it like 320 degrees around. So it doesn't matter which direction you go, you can look into both ways. So for example, if you're out there for seeding and you look first where you want to go, you also can turn around your cab and then see if you're doing a proper job there. Then the chassis, hydraulically driven, so even if the ground is not leveled, our machine leveled it by its own, so you're all the time completely leveled. Then what I said before, yeah, single wheel drive. Every tire has its own electric motor and all-wheel steering, so you can steer every tire on its own. And what we said before, standardized isobus, so machines are just invented for our machine. And then we don't have a machine here on our booth, it's too small for that. But what we brought with us is our remote control. So if you, for example, alone on your farm and you have to move or maneuver your machine into the shed, you hop out of the cabin and you can do pretty much everything with a remote control. So then the cabin, we don't have a steering wheel in there, so everything is done by joysticks, which you, what I said before, more or less need just on the road, because on the field the machine is, for sure, if you want to drive it on your own, you can do that, but the GPS is doing it completely on its own. Then on the right side, you have a 22-inch screen. So we work with this idea just to have one big screen, which you have more or less all the information on it. So if you look from the top, there you can see the 360 degrees camera system. So if you drive forward, you just see all your cameras to the front. If you drive backwards, it's automatically changing, and you can even zoom them in to see if there is something lying on your way. Then below the cameras, you have the autopilot system, which shows you all the time where you're going and even where you would turn into next, which you could then even change. In the middle part, normally we have our Nexat monitoring for the carrier vehicle, and on the lower part then all the informations about your implements. Maybe some of you listened to it before. I just want to say it again. How long does it take to make an implement change? That's always, I would say, the most asked questions I get at shows, or if I'm out there on the farm. So I'm not the best guy at it, but if I take our demo drivers or our mechanics, they can do this from one to the other in 15 to 20 minutes. So made a bit of to make it a bit easier. And also what you can see here now, our implements are in the middle of the machine. So you don't have to pull a big seeder or planter behind you. You always have your weight exactly where you need it. So you have it in the middle of your 4 big tires or 4 big tracks. So you get a lot of weights on these tracks then to have a lot of power on them and don't have to pull them behind. So what do you do now? You're on your farm, you seed it, for example, and now you want to change to the combine. So you're searching a right spot where you want to park it. You hop out of the cab. You have 2 electric couplers, 2 hydraulic couplers, which you just dismount. Then you hop back into the cab, click the button, and then your belt drive is automatically swiveling away, and your hooks. You lower the machine, for example, like on a front loader, and then you just drive back. Then you go to the next machine. For here example then to the combine, like what we said before, everything's standardized interface implements. And what I forgot to say now, if you park one machine, we have like a virtual parking spot. So if you go to the next machine, the Nexat knows already, okay, there is the combine, for example, and then it drives automatically in a straight line in front of the combine. You go there, like what I said, like on a front loader, lift up the machine again, push your hook on button, the belt drive and the hooks connecting, you hop back out, 2 hydraulic couplers, 2 electric couplers, and then you're ready to go. So what's our idea with the machine? Have one high-powered carrier vehicle for the whole year, which always is the same machine. Due to having the machines or have the implements between the tires, you have a lower fuel consumption because you don't have to pull anything, you don't have any bulldozing effect. And what we also have, we have a redundant design. So it's similar like airplanes. A lot of sensors in our machine, we have 2 or 3 times. So just for an example, our steering sensors, everyone knows if you're driving with GPS and you get for sure somehow a problem with your sensors if they get older. You stay there and you can't drive anymore because your GPS says there is no more steering sensors. So we have for each tire 2 steering sensors. So if one steering sensor doesn't work anymore, you still have the other one and you can go. Or for example, for the engines, just say you're spreading now fertilizer, so you just need one engine. There is, I don't know, any problem somehow, you can just swap easily to the other engine and then keep on going. Then switching from field to road operation, so which you can see here on the picture. If we are in field mode, we go sidewise, and if we are on street mode, we go the length. So, and that's also done pretty easily. So that's also just one click on the button, and then we call it dancing mode. So the machine is in the field, and then it's more or less doing like 90 degrees turning, and independently, it's changing the direction of the wheels, which you can see later in a video, or we have on each side, if you don't have a lot of space and you just on your yard or in your shed, you put down your supporting stems, the machine lifts up, and then you can turn each tire independently. So which you can see here then now, field mode and then to road mode. That also takes roughly 2 minutes, and then you're ready to go. Even for the combining part then, so on the picture here you can just see the seeder, but for combining we lift up our header on the side, fold it down, so you always have your header with you to go, and then you're in, sorry for that now, but in meters it's 5.2 meters, which would take you, if you go along the road with your header sitting next to you. So one machine for all processing steps. So our idea was to have less machines. What I said before, due to having the machines between the tires, lower fuel consumption, and due to the bigger machines what we try to build now, you also need less staff, or even if you think further, if it runs autonomous, also, yeah, it's always harder to get good people, so easier to have the machines autonomous. But we are not building this machine completely on our own. So the carrier vehicle, the combine and the seed hopper are designed by us, but we take globally partners which are working together with us. So depending on the region, we have different brands or companies which producing for us the machinery. So for example now, if you look for the planter or the seeder, in Europe we go with Federstadt, in Brazil we go with Baldon, and what we use currently here now in Canada is the K-Hard. For fertilizer, Amazoni, I think that's also something known here in Brazil, Brazil is already in Canada, is Amazoni spreaders, so we use them globally. What I said, combine is designed by on our own, but even for the headers, we are completely open to every brand. And for sprayers in Germany or Europe, we use Damon, that's a German manufacturer, and Incom Agri for Brazil. Maybe one fact also about the sprayer, so it's 22,000 liters of capacity, and in feet it's a 220 feet boom, which we use currently in Brazil and in Europe. Then, for our seed hopper design, which we have currently on the market, tailored to the farmer needs, so depends on what does the farm want. We can design the bins completely how the farm wants it. So then what we also have on the left picture, you can see it, there is 2 mounting parts, so one is below and one in front. So you could even go, for example, now for the 45 foot with a carrier with a speeding disc in front, and then have a planter below, so which you can already save one run over the field, or which we're running in USA was having the K-Hard below, and then we go in the other direction, and then have a Degelmann land roller behind. So doing already 2 steps in one. Then, I know 45 feet is not big enough for Canada, so that's why 2 years ago we started in Brazil with our 90 feet planter, And that's also the idea here now to get this for Canada. So end of the year, hopefully, or latest spring, we will have here now also then a 90 feet seeder, also then together with K-Hart, and then with a nice 900 and bushel seed and fertilizer tank directly on top. Yeah, so that's about the seeder. Now to the combine. So, what I said, combine, also developed by our own. We have one big rotor in there, which you can see then afterwards. So we have one big rotor which is turning very slow, so we have a very gentle thrashing on our grain. We have a 908 bushel grain tank on top and the unloading rate of 18.4 bushels per second. So which is more or less like your grain carts, which you drive around, not similar, but goes more into this direction, to be honest. Yeah, so it's a complete new rotor design. I always say it's going a bit into the cleaner combines. So our rotor is transversal in the machine. So the crop flow comes from the header, gets into the middle, and then divided to each side. So comes to the middle, through the rotor, each side. So we have two straw choppers on each end, and on each side we have a cleaning system. So it's 118 feet of cleaning area in there. So I always say it's more or less a bit like two combines in one. We have a very big intake channel with 70.1 inch diameter, and then the rotor, so 19.7 feet long and 31.5 inch diameter of the rotor then, so very big, very long. We have 23.7 feet, square feet of thrashing area and 45.2 square feet of separation area. So now what I said before, normal feeder house then, which gets it into the machine. Then we have our speeding drum, which gets already the speed up for the crop flow and then divided to the left and to the right side. The mock and the grain falls then down on the grain augers, which deliver it to the left and to the right side, and then gets lifted up to the cleaning system. So then we have three sieves in there. So we have the preparation pan, the pre-sieve, top and lower sieve, as you maybe know it from your combines at home. And then gets it on each side up to the bin. And then, yeah, straw choppers on each side to also get it nice and evenly spread over the whole working width. Yeah, and then if you take a look into the future, what are we currently on now? So that's some pictures and videos out of Brazil, so where we run also our machine already autonomous. So we even, like we had a pretty nice presentation before about AI. So we also use AI in our company even more and more. So the machine, the whole year, if it drives over the field, so we have a few sensors on there, which are collecting also the plants down there. They collect pretty much all data which the machine got, and then even keeps it smarter for the next time. Good. So thank you for listening. Is there any questions?
We'll start with a round of applause for Luca. And we do have microphones, so please take a minute if you need to, but we're happy to answer questions from the floor. Jen will walk around with a microphone. That was a fantastic presentation, Luca. I was in Romania last year, and I got to walk around the Nexat. It wasn't operating at the time when I was there, but it's a pretty impressive machine. So I do encourage people to go over. Can you tell us where your booth is at the show?
Oh yeah, so our booth is at Hall 12, and it's booth 12955. Very small booth. So we don't have a machine here now, but yeah, come to us, speak with us. We are very open for some demos this year, so if one of you guys is interested to see the machine live, and that's why we are here, we want to show you guys the machine, just come to us or save my number, give me a call, and then for sure we can get something organized.
Well, Luca, you mentioned that the number one question that you get is how long does it take to change the attachments? I would have assumed that the number one question was actually the price tag of the machine. If people come over to your booth, can they discuss pricing about as well? Maybe the Gentry vehicle plus all of the attachments?
Pricing is always a hard question. I know this question will grill me today. So what we have in our mind, if we speak about prices, or why is it even for us possible to be on the market? So the idea behind all that is to give you, as farmers, a lower running costs for the machine. So because you just have one big machine with engines, with cabin, with all the electrics. So if you compare your farm equipment which you have at home, and we roughly can do, I'm be more the careful guy, do around 4,000 acres with one machine, you are below 10 to 15% that what you have normally if you invest into machinery with our machine. Is it a polite answer?
That's a polite answer. Yeah, we'll have to talk numbers again, but really curious. Does anybody have any questions from the audience? Are you just scratching, or would you like a microphone? Okay, well, let's again, a big round of applause for Lucas, and please go and check him out at the booth.